Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. And I was a couple of minutes late tonight, and it's just because I've just been researching this case. I've just, you know, oh, I think you'll find this case relevant, even though it's quite an old case. It's relevant. We're talking about a man who uh, who lost one wife in an accident, and then later lost another wife in another accident. Now, is that a coincidence? I just feel like one accident is unfortunate, two accidents is sinister. And that's what the courts felt also. But I literally have been watching things. I first knew about this case quite a long time ago. And I've watched a couple of documentaries on it, and I decided to do it tonight for something different in a way from Nicola Bully or from other things that I'm doing at the moment. But also because it is relevant, because in this case, you will see this is a case where a coroner changed their opinion about, not the same coroner, but another coroner questioned what an original coroner had decided. It's cold justice, part of it, in fact all of it. In fact, the two unfortunate incidents, the justice came cold, didn't come immediately. It came, one a long time after, the other one just a couple of years after. So I thought it was relevant. There's a lesson to be learned from this story, I think, for everyone, especially for women. I don't know if women will ever learn this lesson, including me. I include myself in this. There's a lot of lessons to be learned from this case. Anyway, let's chat. First of all, thank you all. Thank you all of you that are subscribers. Thank you all of you, to all of you who like my videos. Don't forget to like, by the way. Thank you all my members, and I just wanted to say to my members, actually, I'm sorry I haven't done a new episode of the crime novel for a little while, but there's been a lot of things going on, hasn't there? Like, I've been making a lot of videos, and I've got the next episode in my head. I sort of have, but actually I've got a further episode in my head, and I'm trying to think of how to link where I am now to where I know definitely I'm going. So I just need to sit down and look at that. But I just wanted to apologise to members because it's been a couple of weeks since I've done an episode of the crime novel, and I know you were enjoying it, and I'm glad you were enjoying it. But you won't be disappointed, because when I get going with it, you may find that I do a few chapters all at once. So thank you to my members. I appreciate everyone who's joined my channel. I really do. Thank you to anyone who sent me a super, bought me a Ko-fi, etc. Anyone who sent me any positive messages, emails, etc. Thank you so much, because you are the reason why I do this channel. Because then, you know, when I do get trolled here and there, what keeps me going is people saying that they enjoy my channel and they get something out of it. I feel like I've forgotten to say something there. I always forget something, but never mind. Anyway, thank you. So most important, gratitude for everything. I get up every morning. I got up this morning and thought, you just literally simple things. You come down, you make your coffee, you give your dogs a cuddle, or your kids, or your husband, or your wife, or whatever whatever your circumstances are. And there's always irritating things, isn't there? But you get up, you've got to appreciate the good things. So, sorry, I need to stop. I need to stop waffling. I think this case as well has made me aware of that, because you'll see that the victims in this case that I'm going to talk about tonight, they were, nice women, lovely women. And they got misled by a narcissist, really. That's what happened. And it's so easy for that to happen. Sometimes people think in situations of coercive control and narcissistic partners, male or female, people think, well, why didn't they just leave them, or why didn't they just do that? But do you know what? Unless you've ever been in that situation, you have no idea how difficult it is to leave, especially if you've got children, if there's children involved like there was in the second incident. Anyway, first of all, I'm going to say hello to everyone. There's a lot of you here and you've all been chatting, and you know, I'm humbled by that. I love it. I love to watch you all chatting. I love to see that you're here, obviously, and participating in the chat. But also, you people that are at home watching and you don't participate in the chat, because I know the chat isn't for everyone. Some people are too shy, and you'll be sat at home watching and just hopefully enjoying the show. That I don't like to call it a show because it seems to sort of denigrate what I'm talking about, but enjoying what do I call it? I don't know what I call it. But anyway, I'm telling you a story, if you like, but it's not a story. It involves real lives, real people. And hopefully there's some lessons to be learned, isn't there, at the end of it? And the main thing is it focuses attention on the victims. That is the very main thing. And this horrible man, Harold, he has to have negative attention put on him. That's important. Okay, so let me say hello to everybody. Oh, I've gone down to the bottom instead of going down to the top. So Chumba was first, I think, tonight. Hi, Chumba. Hope you're feeling better. Hope, you know, headspace is better, because headspace, I know, you know, is very important. Hi, David. Hi, Desi. Hi, Tina. Hi, Mal. Mal's here. Oh. I love to see you all saying hello to each other. Honestly, I know I keep saying that, but I really do. Hi, DMV. Hi, Desi. Hi, Julie. Yeah. The nod to Oscar Wilde. Yeah, losing one wife is unfortunate. Losing two is sinister. Oh, Desi. So Rio can't make the live. Is she okay though? Tell me that. What? I mean, I don't need to know the exact reason why, but is she okay? Because she had a bit of an unfortunate experience this morning. I know she went to give blood, and I don't think I've ever given blood. I went to give blood once years ago when I worked at the. It just shows you how long ago it was, because when I worked at the Department of Health and Social Security, it's only about 20, but I was just like terrified of hospitals and stuff like that, or needles. And we all went off to give blood one day, and I sat down and they got the needle out. And I mean, now I'm not scared of needles at all. I really am not. Now, if I have to have a blood test or anything like that, I mean, I don't like to look at it. I don't enjoy it, but I'm not scared of it. But that's what comes with maturity, I suppose, and age. And the nurse said to me, she got the needle out, and she said, "Are you feeling okay?" And I said, "Oh, I feel a bit dizzy. I feel a bit dizzy." And she said, "Well, if you feel dizzy, we're probably better off not taking the blood." And I was just relieved, and I just said, "Okay," and that was it. So I was there, but I never actually gave it. But quite a few of the people that I worked with fainted at that time that they were giving blood. You know, people have an issue with blood and needles, etc. So that's another reason why it's so our NHS, I say our NHS, or because obviously I don't live in the UK, but any nurses, you know, dealing with all that, you know, good for them, because not everybody can. Gosh, it doesn't take much to distract me, does it? Hi, Tracy. Julie, I've said hello to, I think. Hi, Julie. I think I did a video on that, because I think David might have told me about that. sorry about the guy in Scotland who killed 2 wives and tried to get rid of a third. Yeah, it's a bit of not only for men, because of course there are women who do this as well. You know, it's almost as if they get away with the first one, then they feel like that gives them carte blanche to go ahead and try and get rid of another one. And you know, it just makes me worry. There's probably lots of people in the world, you know, not just in the UK. This is an American case anyway, but all over the world, there's probably lots of people that have got away with it and made it look like an accident. And, you know, quite often when somebody murders their second spouse or third, that's when the others come out, because, you know, maybe the first one's been thought of as an accident. And then when the second one happens, that's when they make their mistakes. That's like Helen Bailey and her husband, Ian Stewart. He murdered Helen Bailey, and when that came out, they looked back and found that he'd actually killed his first wife as well. But his first wife had been considered an accident. Not an accident, natural causes, epilepsy. Yeah, David knows the name of it. Malcolm Webster. Actually, I don't think I have done a video on him. Hi, Sky. So I'm still going down saying hello, sorry. She's okay, is she, Desi? Okay, that's good, as long as she's okay. Yeah, they call women who do it black widows. What do they call men who black widowers, I suppose, black widowers. But there has been women. Hi, Kelly. There have been women that have done it often. Women tend to do it by poisoning, don't they, and stuff like that. Or they're in a relationship with another man and they get the man to do it. That's another thing that women tend to do, whereas men tend to do it themselves. And this guy that we're going to talk about tonight, his second wife, he pushed off a mountain. His first wife, he kicked a car on top of it. Anyway, we're going to talk about it. But that he's not the only one that I've read about that pushed their wife off a mountain. Do you know what? Those nature trails in America, they're so dangerous. You're either going to go there, you're going to get murdered by some random person, like with Rachel Marin, or you're going to go there with your husband who's going to push you off the edge of a cliff. It's terrifying. Oh, thank you, Sky. I do worry about that. But that's how I feel. Do you know why I think I can do that? Hi, Heather. I think it's from teaching for years. That's where it is. So you get used to talking to people. It's not something that you just, you know, I should imagine if you'd never done a talk in front of anyone before, it'd be quite difficult. But it's different when you've got used to talking to a group of people. Anyway, never mind. I'm glad. Thank you for saying that. That's very kind. So I've said hello to everybody. Let's have a look what we're going to start with this guy now, because that was the other thing. I didn't know where to start with him. There's so much to say about him. He's a fascinating case, because the other thing is there's this religious connection with this guy. This guy was a committed Christian. He met his second wife, Toni, who he unfortunately ended up pushing off a mountain. He met her through a Christian dating app, if you like. And that makes it even worse for me, because these people, they're supposedly Christians, you know, believe in God, they live, you know, they're so holier than thou, and they end up doing these horrible things. And that's even worse. It's like double deviance again, isn't it? Because it's bad enough when anyone does it, but when someone who pretends that they're like a religious person, a committed Christian, and presents this image of being sort of so fantastic and perfect, that just makes it worse for me. If it's so, you know, at the end of the day, human beings are not perfect. Human beings have frailties. Human beings have, You know, all of us, including me, you know, I've done lots of things that I'm not proud of. And I look back and I think, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Or, you know, we're all the same in that way. We are human. We are imperfect. We do things sometimes that we know we shouldn't do. Hopefully, as with age and maturity, we grow to learn that. But I think when we're young, we probably don't even sort of think we're really hurting anyone. I think there's a selfishness when you're young. I think that's just part of being young, to be honest. But as you get older, normally you get a little bit more. But this guy, he didn't get more empathetic. If anything, he got worse. He was a narcissist from the beginning. Okay, so what we're going to start with, with this, literally, where do you start? Let's start with this. Yeah, let's start with this. So this is how Toni, so Harold was married to Toni. He'd met Toni through a Christian dating site. And Toni was an ophthalmologist. She's a successful businesswoman. Her family had how can I put it, income, you know, her family were financially secure, and I'm sure that's what contributed towards Harold being interested, because we'll see that Harold was interested in any woman who had financial security, because that was what he was looking for. Now, he presented himself as a millionaire. When Toni's family, and we're going to look at this video in a minute, but I just want to tell you what I know. When Toni's family met Harold, let's see if I fast forward it a bit, and then you'll actually
pretty
see.
Exciting, we think. And she says, "What's going on?"
Right, so this is Toni in the white coat in her ophthalmologist office. Harold turned up this day because it was her birthday, or around her birthday time, and said, surprise, surprise, I'm going to take you on a trek up a mountain, you know, in a nature trail, in a mountain reserve or whatever. But he made sure it was being videoed, because she, you know, was caught back. I mean, she was working. Previously to that, he had phoned her co-workers, contacted them, told them to leave her diary free. He told them what he was going to do, and but swore them to secrecy. And he came along this day and he met up with he went into the office at Toni's work and surprised her with this trip of a lifetime up up some bloody mountain. Now, bearing in mind, Toni had problems with her knees, and it was difficult for her to climb up mountains and things like that. But no, he came along. He's planned this for a birthday. Can I just say, if anybody who's out there ends up being my future husband, please, when it comes to my birthday, I don't want to trip up a mountain. I do like walking. I won't mind a walk in the woods or whatever, as long as it's flat, because I've got bad knees too. You know, or, you know, I'd rather have a week in a luxury hotel or something, you know, a bit of luxury. I don't want for my birthday to be taken up a mountain. So just bear that in mind, just in case anyone's out there who ends up being my husband.
He gives her a hug and says, "We're out of here. We're leaving for the weekend."
So Harold and
Now, I don't know if you noticed her face then, but there's a few videos of her where you can tell she's not really that happy, but she's just sort of, you know, I mean, what do you say? The camera's on you. He's there. Oh, look, I'm going to take you on holiday. Anyway, so let's backtrack a little bit, because apparently when Harold first met Toni on this Christian dating app, Harold was a widow. His previous wife had died. Toni was divorced. And actually, you know, that's quite bad. Like, if you, in the sort of Christian, you know, not, you know, I'm a Christian, but these are quite sort of, oh God, what's the word? They're quite reactionary type Christians. You know, they're very strict. So her being divorced, that wasn't good in her circles. You know, the circles she moved in, being divorced was not, you know, just accepted. It was sort of not good. And he was supposedly a widower. He met her through this Christian dating website. And they got engaged within a weekend of meeting. I mean, they literally met up, and by the end of the weekend, they were engaged. Probably by then he'd found out that she had a few bob, and that was him. He's proposed to her. She'll have been swept off her feet. Of course she will. I understand how that feels. I mean, at the end of the day, this poor woman, she's divorced because I think her husband went off with another man. Apparently, Harold, he was a love bomber. You know what love bombing is, when someone just like gives you all that love right from the beginning, says all the right things, and you're fantastic. And, you know, when you've been on your own for a while and you've been divorced and your husband's gone off with someone else, and you're a Christian, and, you know you're expected to be married, and, you know, you want this normal lifestyle. And also, she was getting a little bit older. She wanted children as well. She was at the sort of late 30s, I think, when she met Harold. You know, time's running out, the biological clock's running out. So Harold came along. He ticked all the boxes. They met up. By the end of the weekend, they were engaged. So I'm probably going back a little bit, but I just want to tell you the background for it. So they got married, and apparently within very short time of them being married, let me put a different picture on for you to look at. Let's see.
and Toni were going to stay at a hotel called the Stanley Hotel in Estes
So
Park, Colorado, which was
I want to tell you the background to this first of all. Let's see. So I want to put some pictures in the background. Yeah. Yeah. So you should be able to picture. Oh. When I think of Harold, I think of Harold Shipman. Oh, dear me. Oh, Mal, thank you so much. Thank you. That's very kind. Thank you, Mal. Just put that up for a minute. Okay, so yes, this is them. So this is Harold. This is Toni. I just think on every photo, apart from this, she looks happy here. This is his first wife. But there's some of the pictures with Harold and Toni, his wife. I just think she doesn't look happy. And from what her family have said, they felt like she loved Harold, but she wasn't happy in her relationship with Harold. Because very shortly after they got together, he started being controlling. So he started off, yeah, you know, like they do. Sorry, men, but, you know, he started off love bombing her, being the perfect partner, you name it, he was loving. And then gradually, and these things, any of you who've ever suffered from coercive control, man or woman, you know, this does not happen overnight. You don't, you know, go to bed one night and you wake up in the morning and you're right under the thumb, or you're right in it. It happens gradually. To me, it's like you're digging a hole. Suddenly you're in this massive hole and you just can't get out of it. It's like this hole gradually go, you know, and I've been there with coercive control, and it isn't an overnight thing. And this is what happened with Harold and Toni. So, and also remember, this is a very intelligent woman. Her brother said, her brother is an open heart surgeon, and he said she was the cleverest person or the most intelligent person he'd ever met, but she wasn't intelligent enough as far as affairs of the heart were concerned. Oh, and another interesting twist to this case, if you like, is her brother, Toni's brother, actually saved Harold's life because he's a heart surgeon. When Harold had a heart attack, he performed open heart surgery on him and he saved his life. And God knows how he feels now, because I bet he must wish he hadn't saved his life, because if Harold would have died, Toni would still be alive. But anyway, just, do you know what? Truth is definitely stranger than fiction. So very shortly after they met and got together, he started controlling her. And when I say controlling her, completely controlling her. So anybody rang the house, he would answer the phone. She was not allowed to answer the phone. And even when he was not here, not there, he had set up the phone so any phone calls were redirected to him wherever he was. So even if he wasn't in, the phone would not ring at the house, it would ring for him. And then he would say, oh, hi, whatever, you know, if it was a family. And he would put it on speakerphone. So the family were, what's the word, aware that he was controlling her, because they could not speak to her on her own. You know, they gradually, I mean, it didn't, as I say, it didn't happen overnight, it would have happened over time. It just suddenly arrived at a place that whenever they rang the house, he would answer the phone. And then when they asked to speak to Toni, he would put it on speakerphone. He wouldn't hand the phone over to Toni. He would put it on speakerphone. So they would all be in the conversation, you know, so it's pretty terrifying. Oh, and Mal, that must have been terrible. You know, this is it. I think nobody realizes how many women, and not only women, I need to keep stressing. I think the next video I do on this sort of thing, coercive control, I need to make it clear. It's more often than not, it's women, but it's not always. Sometimes it's women doing it to men, and we have to be aware of that. So that's what he would do. And then, of course, she stopped talking to her family about anything. You know, it was like they just couldn't, well, first of all, they couldn't get her on her own to talk to her. And he would control everything she did. He would even turn up at work where she worked as an ophthalmologist. He would turn up at meetings. This resonated with me. I never experienced what Irish Eyes is telling us she experienced there. But with my ex-partner, he would turn up at work. You know, I'd be at work because I was working on the race courses then. And I'd be sat, you know, because after the races and that, we'd go out in the pub and we'd have a drink or a meal or whatever. And he would just turn up there, just out of the blue, you know, because he was so paranoid that I might be doing something that I wasn't supposed to be doing. Anyway, so that's what coercive control, that's part of what coercive control is. It's not always a physical thing. That's what's important. You know, it's not always somebody, it's not always DV. We have no evidence that he ever actually was violent towards Toni, but it was this just controlling her every moment. She couldn't control her own money. He controlled all the money. Oh, so this was something else. So it turned out when she met him on this Christian dating site, he said that his job was, he was a fundraiser for non-profit charities, you know, Christian charities. You know, it's awful as well because it gives Christians a bad name, you know, because you do, in the end, you sort of think, God, anyone who's involved with the church, they're a bloody, if they're not a nonce, they're like a profiteer or something. Anyway, so he said he was fundraising. He was a fundraiser, and he said he was a millionaire, multi-millionaire. He was earning really, you know, people who run charities do earn good money, as we know, you know. But it turns out it came out at his trial that for 20 years he had not worked. Everything that he said about being a fundraiser and earning a salary. If he worked at home, he would go down into the basement, into his office. Oh, and that was the other thing. She was not allowed to have internet access. Only he was allowed internet access in the home, not her. So it is surprising that an intelligent career woman like Toni would go along with all that. But again, that was down to the religion side of things, because, you know, I've been watching some videos today about friends talking, and that's you obeyed your husband. What your husband said you had to do. And it was sort of like he would have brought up, if she would have tried to go against him, he would have brought up if she was going against Christianity. And that, you know, people just manipulate religion. This is why I hate religion. I believe in God, believe in Christianity, to be honest, but I don't believe in the way that these organizations run. You know, there's always a control thing there. Hygiene. Oh, did DMV go through the same thing? Oh, yeah. Anyway, so he actually had not worked for 20 years. So he'd said he'd been working all the time. That I think they were married. I'm not sure exactly how long they were married for. Oh, but somewhere in the meantime, they had a child. So there was, with his first wife, he'd got angry with her because she hadn't been able to have any children, and they were trying for children. Anyway, when he met Toni, that was straight away what they were trying to do, because both of them were coming to their 40s or in their 40s. So he, you know, they both wanted children, to be fair, and they did have a daughter. Right, so where am I up to now? So yeah, it comes to her birthday. So this has been going on for ages. Let me just and the next thing that I want to look at. Yeah, okay. So let's have a little read of this article about it. So this is the story of Harold Henthorn, the man who pushed his wife off a Colorado mountaintop. And you know what? Every time, all the time that I've been looking at true crime, I do think Colorado is a very, very scary. There's loads of crimes happen in Colorado, or it seems to me, it always seems to come to Colorado. But anyway, so after Harold Henthorn was arrested for killing his wife Toni in 2012, investigators also noticed eerie similarities to his first wife Lynn's accidental death. So now we're probably going to look at a bit of both of them. So his first wife Lynn, when this came out about Toni, and it took a long time for him to get prosecuted for murdering Toni, and then people started to look at, investigate a bit more the death of his first wife, Lynn, and she died under a car in this weird, and again a very strange accident. She was under a car for some unknown reason, and the car fell on top of her. They were on a very desolate road in the middle of the night. He said that the tire had been you know, he was worried about the tire, so he stopped to change the wheel, change the tire, and something dropped under the car. She got under the car to get it for some unknown reason, and the car fell on top of her. The car was jacked up, and she got under the car to get this wing nut or whatever that rolled under the car, according to him, and the car fell on top of her. Anyway, we're going to talk about that and more of the details of it, but that's what apparently happened to his first wife, and that was never considered anything but an accidental death until later. So to those looking from the outside, Harold Henthorn and his wife Toni seemed like they had the ideal marriage. Toni was a successful ophthalmologist, while Harold loved to talk about his job as a fundraiser for non-profits like churches and hospitals. But that job did not exist. He had not worked for 20 years. It was all lies. Anyway, shortly after their wedding in 2000, they moved to Denver, Colorado to enjoy the mountain views, and they welcomed a daughter in 2005. So there they are on their wedding day. I mean, it's very sad, isn't it, when you see these photos? Because, you know, that's the only, to be honest, these are the only photos where I've actually seen her being happy. You know, it's like, you'll see, you know, in the photos that come later, she doesn't look happy. You can see she's not happy. She looks happy there, though a little bit reserved, doesn't she? Perhaps doesn't look as beaming as she might have been. You'd think she would be on her wedding day. He looks quite happy. Anyway, but in 2012, Harold pushed Toni off a cliff to her death. So he initially claimed that Toni had accidentally fallen while they were hiking in Rocky Mountain National Park to celebrate their 12th wedding anniversary. However, after finding a suspicious map in Harold's car, detectives realized his story wasn't adding up. And this map, because what they found out later on was that in fact Harold had been to this site before they went there on holiday. He had been there many, many times, at least 9 times, and had, you know, as if he was looking for something. And the fact this map that they found in his car, it had an X to mark the spot on it, and that X was exactly where Toni's body was found. So it seemed like he had planned it. And then even more, they learned that Harold's first wife, Lynn, had also died under suspicious circumstances in 1995. So some people call him the Black Widower. He was found guilty of Toni's murder and is sentenced to life in prison, though he maintains his innocence to this day. So Harold Henthorn met Toni Bertollet of Jackson, Mississippi through a dating website called Christian Matchmakers in 1999. Bertollet was recently divorced, and Henthorn had lost his wife in a tragic accident 4 years earlier, or so he said. Now, bear in mind, Harold had received a lot of life insurance for the death of his first wife. So that's probably what he'd lived on up to that point. And that's why he could say to Toni that he was quite wealthy. He was wealthy because he'd got all this life insurance. Anyway, the two married in September, and they soon, in 2000, and they soon moved to Denver, Colorado, and they welcomed a daughter named Haley. While their marriage seemed successful from the outside, however, Toni's friends and family members began noticing some concerning changes in her behaviour. So her brother, Barry Bertollet, realised he could never, this is what I was saying to you earlier, he could never have a private conversation with Toni. Henthorn would always answer the phone when Barry called, and if he asked to speak to Toni or Haley, he would just turn on the speakerphone. Toni's office manager at her ophthalmology practice, Tammy, noted that Harold made her uncomfortable. She said he was very controlling. She could not schedule anything outside of her normal schedule without first consulting with Harold. Now, this picture, I don't know. Who took this picture? I'm not sure. To me, look at her face. She looks, it's almost as if she knows what's going to happen to her. Because now, something else that I need to tell you. is that not long before this was the very day that she was murdered. This was the very day she was, that was exactly what she was wearing, that pink top, etc. So whether he's got someone to take this photo or whether they've put the camera somewhere or whatever and took it like that, I don't know. But he looks very happy. To me, she doesn't look that happy. I almost wonder if she did know what was going to happen to her, because not long beforehand, she'd nearly died in another accident. They had like a lodge, a mountain lodge thing, and they were there again. He'd isolated her, because this is what he's done. He's isolated her from everybody else, isn't he? He's taken her to a place that's very remote. There's nobody about. Nobody else is there. And he'd done this before, and he'd called her outside. And as she went outside, she saw something on the floor. She bent down to pick it up. And as she bent down to pick it up, this log missed it. Well, it didn't miss her. It caught her and it really hurt her. He had to call the police, not the police. They had to call an ambulance, and she was very severely injured. But if she hadn't seen something on the floor and bent down to pick it up, she would have been dead. So I think then she probably knew that he was trying to kill her. But, you know, a lot of people, including me, you think, why did she stay with him? Why did you stay with him? But you've got to remember they had a daughter together. She's a Christian who her previous marriage had ended in divorce. She didn't want this. And probably she was talking herself out of it. She didn't want to believe. She didn't want to believe that he could do that to her. So the Bertolet family became especially concerned in 2011 when Toni suffered a serious injury and didn't even mention it to her mother Yvonne until much later. Harold and Toni had been doing some construction work at their mountain cabin. Harold asked Toni to come up to the porch, help him with something, and as Toni walked beneath the porch, a heavy beam fell off it and hit her neck, fracturing her vertebrae. When Toni told her mother about the incident later, she said she saw something on the ground when she was walking towards Harold and bent over to pick it up. If I hadn't bent down after I walked outside, oh, it's right. Toni said at the time, the beam would have killed me. It would have killed her, Riley. When Toni died a year later, her family began wondering if the beam incident had been an accident. Well, no, I would say definitely not. So now we come to the actual tragic accidental death of Toni Henthorn. In September 2012, Harold decided to take Toni on a hike in Rocky Mountain National Park to celebrate their 12th anniversary. Now, it was an odd choice, apparently, because she was 50, Toni, and she had a bad knee, and she didn't go. So this was not a woman who went hiking. You know, if you know, if it was your wife's birthday and she loved hiking, and you took her hiking, well, that would be good, wouldn't it? But if she's not a woman who even likes hiking, why would you? You know, why would you take them hiking? As I say, please, any man that ends up marrying me, don't take me hiking. I do like walking in the woods and things like that. I don't want to go hiking. I don't want to go up mountains and things. It's not my thing. You know, take me to a 5-star hotel or a spa or something. I don't want to go hiking. Anyway, let's carry on with the story. But he was determined. So she had bad knees. So she didn't typically take strenuous hikes. But he was determined to take her. And he even told an acquaintance that he had taken 6 different hikes at the park 2 weeks before their anniversary to choose the perfect trail. Well, what he was really doing was choosing the perfect spot to push her off the mountain. Poor Toni. And he had planned every minute of their trip. He told a friend that, and I'm sure he did plan every minute of it. Anyway, they set off up Deer Mountain They hiked 2 miles, snapping photos along the way. And later that afternoon, Barry Bertolet, who is her brother, received a text message from Harold Henthorn. Barry, urgent. Toni is injured. In Estes Park, fall from rock. And it was followed shortly after by another text that simply read, she's gone. So she'd fallen 140. We're going to listen to the 911 call in a minute. Toni had fallen 140 feet off the side of Deer Mountain, and her family was devastated. So now we come to, what did Barry say had happened? Harold. What did Harold say had happened? Well, he made up all different stories. He said that he'd been walking up there and then he'd suddenly realised she wasn't behind him, and when he looked back, he realised she'd fallen off. He said that he received a text from the babysitter, and as he was looking at the text, she fell off. You know, and then he claimed that she'd been taking a photo of him when she accidentally stepped backward off the cliff. He came out with so many different stories. However, that's right. He said he was checking Toni's cell phone for calls from her office, but her co-workers say her phone was in the office. She never took it with her. And he came round to the office 2 days after Toni died to collect it. So his story kept changing. You know, that's what made people suspicious, and investigators started to take a closer look. So before we carry on with that, I want to listen to the 911 call.
911, what's the address, the emergency?
Hello, my name is Harold Henthorn. I'm in the Rocky Mountain National Park.
Okay.
I need an Alpine Mountain Rescue team immediately.
Okay, what is your exact location?
My exact location is Deer Mountain, North Summit. About 1 mile south of the visitor center.
Okay, I'm going to transfer you to the park, so hang on the line. You're going to hear some clicking, and right now I'm pulling up your lat and your long.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Finger turned up.
On my phone here. Let me try it one more time before I transfer you. They don't have this technology.
Can I make sure you know where I am first?
Okay. Yep, I have one moment.
Okay.
Hang on.
We say right where I am.
And I'll introduce who we are when they pick up the phone.
This is Estes, and we have a gentleman on Deer Mountain. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. My wife has fallen from a rock on the north summit of Deer Mountain, on the Deer Mountain Trail, and she's in really critical condition. She's got a bad fall.
How far did she fall, sir?
30, 40 feet, 30 feet.
30, 40 feet?
I think 30 feet.
30 feet. Are you with her
I can't
now?
be sure. I am. Let me be sure that you know my location first. Where the cell have really bad cell coverage.
Okay.
Okay. I'm on Deer Mountain.
Okay.
Near the summit, not the normal, regular northern summit, on the southern outcrops.
And tell me some things about the patient.
She is a white female, 50 years old, great health. She has respiration approximately 5 to 8 beats a minute. Her pulse is about between 60 and 80 beats a minute.
Okay, what's her main injury?
Head injury.
Head injury.
Concussion.
Okay, any other injuries?
Be internal.
Is she conscious and breathing?
No, she's not. She has not been conscious. She is breathing. Between 5 and 8 beats a minute now.
Okay, hold on just a second.
Okay. Here's the thing. I will pay any and all expenses for a helicopter. I don't care if it's private. I don't care if it's commercial. It wouldn't matter if it's medevac. I'll pay any and all expenses right now.
Okay.
Have you drop a paramedic down here?
I understand that, sir. It's really on the safety of everybody involved, so that would really be up to the ranger in charge.
Weather's good. There's no wind whatsoever right now. Weather is excellent. This building is at least 5 to 8 miles. There's definitely, I'm not a paramedic, but I'm doing all I can do. You could safely drop a paramedic from a 10-foot rope. Easily. do that.
I understand that, sir, but they definitely need to probably get someone on scene. They do have hasty teams, and those are the teams that are going to run up there as fast as possible and get to your location. They're asking you to put as many bright items out as possible to see if they can't see you, if they can blast you.
Okay, let me see if I can hear something.
Okay, are you back with your wife now?
I'm right here. Yeah, I'm right with her.
Okay, how is she doing?
Her respiration's weaker.
Her respiration is weaker?
Yeah, 5 beats a minute.
5 beats a minute?
Yeah.
Okay, do you know how to perform CPR?
I do. I do.
Okay, and more about this fall, sir. Was it like a sliding fall, or did she fall, directly?
I didn't see exactly. I was messing with one camera. She was messing with the other one.
So you didn't see her fall?
I didn't actually see. I mean, I saw the motion, but I didn't.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to hang up with you. If you want to leave your phone on, if that makes you feel better, definitely do that. You can call us if anything changes with her.
I will call you. I'll call you exactly 6:30.
At exactly 6:30?
I'll call you exactly 6:30.
Okay, and like I said, you can always call 911 and they'll transfer it over.
Okay, thanks so much. Thanks, Kelly.
Thank you.
Now, that was his 911 call, but he, at some point later on when he called, they asked him if he'd done CPR. He said he had, but when the investigators arrived there, her lipstick had not been disturbed at all. There was no evidence that he'd done any CPR. The other thing that he said was that he was running out of battery. At one point, he hung up on the 911 operator, but then it transpired that on his phone, after he said he was running out of battery so that he had to hang up, he had made 22 phone calls after that and sent 98 texts. So he hadn't given any CPR because the lipstick was still intact, or he said he had, but he hadn't. So yeah, little bit strange, let's say. Now, what else did I want to say?
County 911, where's your emergency?
Hang on. That's not it. That's another one. Let me just put these photos on so you can look at that while you're waiting for me to. Like to have you give you something to look at while I'm looking at the different things, because I've got so many things, as always, to show you. Oh, so anyway, to cut a very, 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 very long story short, 2 years later, it took quite a long time. Initially, apparently the police immediately started receiving emails, anonymous emails from people that were saying he has done something to his wife. So these will be people that knew them who were suspicious about the circumstances that she died. So the police immediately started getting all these emails. But they were anonymous emails, so but it gave them the idea to investigate. Now, what Harold did though, he immediately had Toni cremated. She was cremated almost immediately. He also, because the family didn't want her to be cremated, so remember it was up in Colorado. Her family were from, I think it was Mississippi, I'm not sure actually, but they were not from Colorado, let's say. Her family wanted him to bring the body back to where they were and, and her to be buried there because they're Christians as well. A lot of Christians don't believe in cremation. They only believe in burial. They wanted her to be buried near to where the family were so that eventually all the family could be sort of buried close by to each other. But before they even got a chance to sort of do that, Harold had her cremated, had a memorial service virtually immediately, which is exactly what he did with his first wife as well. He had her cremated virtually immediately without any choice of the family. you know, and I know he's the husband, but you do consult, surely, when you lose your partner, you know, when, especially when they're younger like that, in those sort of accidental circumstances, you know, their parents, their family, their views are important as well. You know, you would all get together, wouldn't you, and talk about the service and what they would do. No, not Harold. Just had both of his wives immediately cremated. So all these sort of rumours started going round. There was all this, but the police had no evidence. You know, evidence is so important. And so as time went on, he was, of course, looking after his daughter. You know, so she'd lost her mother, and now she's got this twonk looking after her. He controlled everything his daughter did, just like he used to control everything that his wife did. Anyway, as time went on, eventually he did get arrested, because the police then started looking into not only that case, but looking into his first wife's accidental death, which apparently, despite many anomalies, now let me tell you about that, because I think we need to go into the details of his first wife's death. So his first wife, Lynn, let's hear about her. Let's go into this. So her brother said, let me just make sure you can see that. All right. Yeah, you can. Yeah, twonk's my new favourite word, Heather. Okay, so we're talking about his first wife now, Lynn. So she had died in unusual circumstances in 1995, crushed under their Jeep. So her brother said she was a great woman. She was awesome in heart and soul. It's hard to convey the beauty of anyone's spirit, but Lynn was truly, she was the real thing, said her sister. Now, I think quite often these women or men who become victims to these narcissists, to these twonks, they often are really, really nice people. That's why they cannot accept that these are twonks, because they're so nice, they could not possibly do this to anyone. So they don't understand how anyone could, and they doubt themselves, they doubt their own conviction, if you like. So it's normally really, really nice people that end up becoming victims, because they're the people that will not see the twonk coming. Anyway, okay. So when Lynn's siblings, Kevin and Eric, and Lisanne Bales were first met Harold, they were delighted when their loving sister, a social worker, found Harold to share her life with. He was charming. He was a fun guy to be around, said Bales. I thought Harold was a great guy, said Eric. I thought, this is good. My sister needs a good man like this. So there he is, twonk. And poor Lynn, bless her. Grace Richel's, Lynn's sister, Grace Richel, Lynn's sister-in-law, remembers how happy Lynn seemed during her marriage to Henthorn. She adored him, Richel said. She looked at him with very loving, adoring eyes. That's even worse, twonk. He relied on the fact that she loved him, as he did with Toni. So and she could understand it. He began to be like this big, wonderful big brother to me, she said. Because she was being interviewed by Van Sane, I can't remember his first name, Peter Van Sane. He's like from 48 Hours. I don't know if you ever watch that, but it's a really good program about true crime. So Grace said, there were lots of times as my family began to grow of watching Harold relate to my girls, how engaging he was with them, that he and Lynn never forgot a birthday or Christmas. You couldn't ask for a more loving family. It's always these people, isn't it, with this perfect family. Anyway, on March the 6th, 1995, tragedy struck. We got a call from a paramedic letting us know that there'd been an accident and she was gone. And all they knew was it was a freak accident. So this is the Jeep that crushed poor Lynn to death. And she didn't die instantly. She didn't actually die until the next day. So it would have been an agonizing death. What a twonk, God. Anyway, he told law enforcement they'd gone out for dinner and a drive in a remote area called Sedalia. Now later, he apparently couldn't remember if they were going to dinner or they were coming back to dinner from dinner. How would you not remember? How would you not remember? Were you going to dinner or were you coming back from dinner? It's not fucking rocket science, is it? I mean, it's just like you're either going to dinner or you were coming back from dinner, one or the other. Anyway, as he was driving, he thought he was getting a flat tire, apparently. So he pulled off the highway onto the shoulder in the dark to change the tire. He said Lynn was helping out, holding the tire's lug nuts as he removed them. She dropped one. Harold says she dropped one. It went under the vehicle. And at that same time that she went to retrieve it, Harold says he threw the flat tire in the back, knocking the Jeep off its jack and onto Lynn. Well, that was one of the many stories he told. So, first of all, if your wife is under the car that's jacked up, you don't fucking throw the tire into the back, full stop. But then it wasn't actually the right jack for the car. Apparently, he'd forgotten to take the right jack for the car, and it was a jack for a boat. So you know, in that she's under the car, of course. The jack is not the correct jack for the car, and you chuck the tire into the back of the car. No, of course you don't. But this is what he said. This is what he said. So as he threw the flat tire into the back, he knocked the Jeep off the jack and onto Lynn. Now, then everybody said she wouldn't have crawled under the car. She was a very careful person. She had rheumatoid arthritis. That would have taken a lot for her to climb. It was terrain like this. It was like gravelly road. Why would she have gone underneath it? She was, I mean, it's just, to be honest, it's just pretty pathetic and ridiculous to even assume that she'd done that. But that's what he said had happened. And when the police, not at the time, they didn't investigate it. Nobody investigated it. The coroner straight away said, how good coroners are, aren't they? We know how fucking brilliant coroners can be. They straight away said, oh, it was just an accidental death. That's it. But later, when they investigated it properly, so it wasn't only the coroner, to be fair, the police didn't investigate it. Later, when it was investigated, they tested, with the flat tire, throwing the flat tire into the boot to see if that would make the car fall down. No. The only thing that would make the car fall down on like a dummy that they were testing it on was if they kicked the car and actually made it fall, a deliberate push. And so that's what they concluded. That's why eventually he was found guilty of that. The other thing that they never took account of at the time was apparently, as this poor woman was under the car, first of all, somebody stopped who could see that he was driving past. They could see he was trying to change the tire. He wasn't changing it properly. So they stopped and offered to help. He said he didn't need any help. So they just drove on, that first person. Then the next people that went past was a family, the Montoya family, and they came out and saw that, she was hardly breathing, and tried to help her because he hadn't even tried to pull her out from under the car. As they tried to pull her out from under the car, he started going mental and saying, telling them to fuck off, basically. I mean, literally telling them to fuck off, leave her alone, don't touch her, go away, you know, this, that, and the other. And also they noticed that it was really cold, and they said to him, oh, she needs something to be covered up with something, and he would not take his jacket off and cover up with his jacket. So one of them actually covered her up with their jacket. And this family, the Montoya family, they went to the police the next day and said, this is not right. This guy, what he was doing is not right. But no investigation was ever done. Okay. Oh, these are the photos. It says it's 50. Let's have a look. So this is Pauline as they got married, and this is Toni. So they'll have first. Ooh, where's that going? Hello, can you hear me now? Am I back? Am I back? Can you hear me? I'm back. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. I went into those photos and it just went off for some reason. Yeah, I was talking for a little bit afterwards. So yeah, I tried to go into those photos and hi Maggie, for some unknown reason. Oh, it just went off. don't know, one of those mystical things that happens sometimes. I'm back. I'm back in the room. No video at the moment. Can you see me? You should be able to see me at the moment. I've got put a video on now. Anyway, where was I? So I was talking about, yeah. So when his first wife died, Lynn, there were there were suspicions, but the police didn't follow it up. The coroner came to an accidental verdict. It was never followed up properly. Good. Okay, good. So now, in the meantime, before he actually got together with Toni, somebody had a lucky escape, let's say, from this guy, because when the FBI were investigating all this case, they actually found an a girlfriend that had met him on this dating site as well. But luckily for her, yeah, Maggie, it could be Captain Tom, it could be Ralmo, or it could be Ted Bundy. Be one of them. Okay, so let me show you this little video.
Of her husband. This is a picture of the couple here. Mark Stewart live in the newsroom. And Mark, you just talked to a woman who says she was questioned by the FBI in all of this.
Indeed, Eric, many layers. The woman tells me she was interviewed by the FBI on September 8th. She claims the feds found her information after agents recently went through Harold Henthorn's computer. The two met 14 years ago on a Christian dating site before he was ever married to his second wife, Toni. The woman...
I mean, what a lucky escape she had. So she met him at about the same time that he met Toni on this Christian dating site. But luckily, they just went out for coffee. Anyway, she tells you.
When he's now accused of murdering. At the time, his nickname was Buzz, and she says she met him in person twice when he was traveling to Southern California, where she lives.
I remember his mannerisms. I remember that he was wearing an orange or salmon-colored shirt at the time. So I do believe that I did meet with him and had coffee, but it didn't go any further.
The two did not stay in touch. Also developing today, a judge has cleared the way for some of the release of crucial documents in this case. That includes search warrants and evidence lists. At this point, it has not happened. It's something we are still watching. It's possible it could happen by the end of the day. Reporting live in the newsroom, Mark Stewart, 7 News.
Yeah. So, God, what a lucky escape she had. She probably didn't even realize it. I mean, I don't know. Maybe she quite liked him, and maybe she would have quite liked to have seen him again. But it seems like at the time, he was on this Christian dating site and he met Toni instead and liked her and found out she had money or whatever. So he wasn't interested in her. The Lancashire police or the filed police. Oh, the filed police, which were part of the Lancashire police. You can hear me and see me okay now, can you? All right, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to show another little video now.
People are really excited about the sport and where it's going. The US is more.
It's a shame Rio started. That was Lewis Hamilton. This is an ad. It'll end in a minute.
Inside Track: The Business of Formula One premieres Thursday, 8
Formula
Eastern.
One. So this is when he was organising Toni's birthday surprise. So it was a birthday surprise, but he was planning to murder her. And this is a receptionist from Toni's ophthalmologist clinic. And she's saying what happened. So he phoned her up and he said, I need you to organise. He phoned her up and he got her to book in, like, he said, oh, I'm going to surprise her with this trip for her birthday. So I need you to book out imaginary people. you know, so that she's got a free share. I would love to stay there in this Stanley Hotel. I thought it was the Cecil Hotel that was the inspiration, but this is the inspiration for Stephen King's book. He took her there the night before. He took her off to the mountain and pushed her off it. I mean, he's horrible, this man. Yeah, whatever. So there you go. That's what he did. So he took her to the Stanley Hotel the night before on the Friday night, and then the next day he took her hiking and pushed her off a mountain. It's just horrible, really, to be honest. Oh, it was a very good film, The Shining. I mean, well, anything with Jack Nicholson is always good, isn't it? But it was a creepy film, that, though. I haven't watched it for a long time. I'd quite like to watch it again. Hi, Julie. Yeah, I don't really. I like the surprises, but I don't know about that. I mean, I've surprised partners before, but not like that. I haven't pushed them off a mountain. You know, if it's been, I remember with my ex-partner surprising him with, like, it was his birthday, just a weekend in a hotel or even a night in a hotel. But I wouldn't have been chuffed with that particular birthday surprise because, as I say, don't take me on a hike. Take me to a lovely hotel for the night. Take me out for a nice meal or whatever, but do not please take me to a mountainous hike. I like hiking, but I like hiking in the woods or walking in the woods. Flat surfaces for me. Right, let's see. Have I got any other... Oh, I don't know if I've shown you this or not, because these are the photos of his first wedding. To me, I think he looks, I don't know, look at, there's something, this is his first wedding, this poor woman. Look, she looks so happy. He looks so happy, but he looks, every photo I ever see of Harold, his smile is too much. He almost looks like Donny Osmond there or something, like he's, I don't know, it's too false, it's too, I don't know. Yeah, and of course she was the one that he killed under the Jeep. I mean, what piece of shit he is, really, isn't he? He's an absolute piece of shit, this guy. And I feel sorry for his daughter now because, you know, she's lost a mum. He murdered a mum. Not this wasn't a mum. He didn't have any children with Lynn. But, you know, his child that he had with Toni, she lost a mum and now she's lost her dad as well. But I think she's lucky to lose her dad because, you know, he wouldn't have been a good dad to have, would he? Now, what I need to find now is, well, he was given, anyway, to cut a long story short, to be honest, I know exactly what happened. He was given life imprisonment with no parole. Now, I did have a little video of him going to court, but that's since he's disappeared. He's a twonk. He is a twonk, Heather, isn't he? But now he's a twonk in prison. Let me just see if I can find out. Find something for his sentence. But I think it was he was found guilty of murder of his second wife, and yeah, he's got life with no possibility of parole. So he's in prison. I'm not sure where he's in prison. Let's see if I can find out where he is. Not that it matters. Yeah, so he was always, he was already in Indiana in a federal prison where he's currently serving the life sentence for murder. But then he was back in court, of course, for the second murder. Now, he's tried to appeal. He's tried to appeal a couple of times, but It's been thrown out, thank God. Let me show you these. I'm going to show you this just for the photos. So he says his attorney sold him down the river. Oh, it's a shame. It's such a shame. So, you know, he did try an appeal against his conviction, but it didn't get anywhere. So look at this. This is him with this poor woman. I think he's got an evil look about him. You know, I know it's in hindsight and I know he's evil, so it's easy to say he's got an evil look about him. It's just his smiles are always so false, aren't they? I don't know. And poor Toni, she just wanted to be in a relationship. So the insurance policy ad was $4.7 million. The insurance policy would have collected. Apparently, just 2 days after she died, he was trying to pick up his insurance policies. God. Anyway, he's always pleaded not guilty. He's always maintained his innocence. He never admitted it. But his appeals have fallen on deaf ears. So, yeah, that's right. I don't think he has been prosecuted for the death of his first wife, but it's widely believed that he did do it. God. Hey, here he is. Oh, I wonder if this is a video. Yeah, this is him going to court. Twonk. So he's accusing his lawyer of acting in his own self-interest and putting his personal financial gain ahead of constructing a solid defense for me. His employment with me was all about him taking as much money from me and my immediate family as possible. Oh my God, how does he even have the cheek, the face to say that? How does he? Oh, dear me, dear me, dear me, dear me. So I don't know if there's been any recent news about him. No, he's still insisting that he didn't do it. I think everybody knows that he did do it. Anyway, so he didn't get the benefits of his because one of his insurance policies, or one of her insurance policies, was actually in favour of the daughter. But he forged the signature and changed the name, so it became in, in his name. Yeah, so he's a twonker, Heather, a twonker. Well, Kelly, what he was doing for 20 years was he was living off the insurance money from his previous wife that he murdered, and also living off the money, he was living off Toni's money because he was controlling all the finances. So he was doing a bit of both. Yeah, it'd be brilliant. Yeah, I think we should be able to do that. So, they're talking now, aren't they, about sending prisoners abroad? They should send them to the Black Dolphin. He's a twonker. A twonker. We're inventing our new language here, aren't we? We've got a twat, maybe a twat, a twonk, a twonker, a twanker, a plat. There's lots of different words that we could make up. Anyway, so that's the story of Harold Henthorn. But the reason as well, part of it, I think it's an interesting story. I think there's a lesson to be learned there. At the end of the day, the women or men who get involved in these horrible relationships, they're not thick or anything. They're like, intelligent people get sucked in, because it's so important to remember it does not happen overnight. You don't go from one day, everything's fine, and then tomorrow you wake up and it's not. it happens over time. It's like a gradual chip, chip, chip. And then, because it happens so gradual, one day you do wake up and think, how did I get here? And then how do I get myself out of here? And if you've got children, if you've got financial concerns, if you're in love with that person, if you've got religious conviction, all these things are reasons why people don't escape from unhealthy relationships. And I honestly think that when Toni went that day with him, she probably sort of knew that he was going to do something, because he'd already tried to kill her once. It's almost like she sort of surrendered to it. It's weird, which does surprise me, because she did have a daughter. If she didn't have a daughter to think about, maybe she just could not believe it. Maybe she sort of thought that there was something funny, but she just could not believe it. I don't know. But yeah, there's so many, there are red flags, but we don't always see the red flags. So the reason why as well this video is important in my eyes is it just shows that justice sometimes does not come immediately. It can come years later, and we should not give up on cases. When we've got like a gut feeling of something that's not right, we should not give up on it. And it's easy to give up. I felt like giving up quite a lot lately about the MB case, because of all the nastiness that always surrounds it. But you know what? When you look at this case of Harold Henthorn, good job people didn't give up, isn't it? Because he was finally brought to justice for what he did. So, we've just got to keep plugging away, haven't we? So anyway, I'm going. Oh gosh, so that's been that's a long time. No wonder I'm tired now, because I'm ready for my dinner now. I've got my dinner ready. It's right ready to eat, so I don't have to start cooking. But listen, thank you so much. It's lovely. And you know what's lovely as well? All these green things down here, all my members. It's so lovely. Thank you. And thank you, Tina. And I did get you. I've got your photos of, is it Shadow, your cat as well, the Manx cat? Beautiful photos. All these animal photos that you're all sending me. Thank you so much. Anyone who wants to send me photos of animals, please do. Whether you're a member or not, because I'm gathering when I say of animals, I mean your pets. And it doesn't matter if they're dogs, cats, snakes, spiders, whatever. I haven't had a tarantula yet. Haven't had a tarantula. Haven't had a rabbit. Haven't had a gerbil or a hamster. So any cats, dogs, horses, you name it, please send them. They've really been cheering me up. I've really enjoyed it. Yeah, and Shadow is beautiful. And I like the way you've got him on a lead. I had a cat like that where you could take anywhere. Some cats are like dogs. They literally are. Yes, Maggie, you do need to send your pussycat. So anyway, I'm going. So thank you so much. Remember to live and love carefully, wisely. Look after you, please. Look after you first. Now, I'm a little bit worried about Saskia, who hasn't been on for a little while. I don't know if she's there watching in the background or... Oh, guinea pigs, Maggie. I haven't had any guinea pigs yet. So I worry about all of you. Honestly, I really do. You might think that sounds silly, but I do every morning. I wake up, I think about you all, and I think, I hope you're all okay, because you keep me going. And, I get these lovely sort of emails saying, oh, well, all sorts of things. One day, maybe I'll read out some emails that I get, because it will make you feel good, like it makes me feel good. Anyway, so look after you. You are the most important person, because if you don't look after you, you can't look after anyone else. And until I see you again, Is she doing okay, Chumba? Oh, good. Until I see you again, may your God go with you. Bye. A cheesy pasta. And Mal, thank you for the super. Thank you so much. Night, night.